Hi everyone, welcome to GreenMonk TV. We're here at the Smart Grid Europe conference in Amsterdam, and with me I have Daniel Cumming from Schneider Electric. Daniel, what do Schneider Electric do in the smart grid space?
Well, Schneider Electric has a variety of solutions for the smart grid. Our focus is mainly on substation automation, so we have different hardware and some software products as well. Our hardware products are power meters and RTUs typically. These are used for outage management, load control, energy monitoring. We also have software that can enable users to basically control their system and allow them to monitor their assets. So this is mainly where we're focused.
So a lot of this is possibly in preventing truck rolls or doing preventative maintenance ahead of time or that kind of thing, or how are you, utility companies I suspect are your clients, how are you helping them? Is it cutting costs, reducing energy?
So I think it's all of those things. So we focus on basically helping utilities to know when their system is operating well and when it's not operating well, and how they would go about managing that. So one instance would be our RTU product. So this is a telecontrol product, and what it does is it has some communication, so it can talk back to a control center and provide information on fault location on the distribution grid. So that's one thing, and then it's also coupled with another product which will give a visual indication for line crews. So if a fault occurs, like a tree falling over a power line, the protection system will kick in. So the relays upstream will say, there's a fault, I'm going to try to reclose several times to clear that fault. Yep. But if the fault does not clear, so that tree branch is still hanging there and short-circuiting the lines into the earth, what it'll do is say, okay, I've got to now open a switch in order to basically so that fault cannot continue and there's no damage to the utility equipment or the downstream equipment. So then what happens is this unit would be able to dial back through its cell modem to the control center and give better information on where exactly the location of that fault is. And the third thing is that when you couple this with the visual indicators which are hanging from the power lines, the guys who are actually going to go and service in order to remove the tree or get rid of that problem on the system, they can actually look up and say, okay, oh, there's the fault, so this is where we need to actually look for the damage or the problem in the system. So that's one example.
Okay.
A second example would be power monitoring. So we have a line of power meters and software where you can basically do operational values and monitoring for your substation. So you can monitor the volts, amps, that kind of a thing. So this will tell you if there's energy exchange, so it can be used for revenue billing. So that's one purpose.
Right.
Then there's also built into these devices is communications, gateway functions, and some digital and analog I/O as well. The I/O is probably more geared towards what we term smart grid, in that you could use this to take in the status of a breaker. So smart grid is really about trying to have intelligence buried in the network so that you can understand as close to the load as possible how it's operating, if there's a fault, and those kind of things. So with these meters you can actually monitor a switch and say, oh hey, this breaker tripped, and this breaker tripped, and oh, there's a fault downstream because we've had to trigger a waveform because we've seen a voltage transient. So those are the kind of solutions that we bring with the metering side. So Schneider has I would say a pretty broad offer, and we really are specialized in the hardware end and services end, and also some software as well for monitoring and control.
Superb. Daniel, thanks a million for coming on the show.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.